You're tuned into the Philly Fans Podcast with your hosts Daniel McDevitt and Ethan Whitney.
Hello and welcome to the fifth installment of the Philly Fans Podcast. I'm Danny McDevitt, as always, joined alongside with Ethan Whitney. And Ethan, I gotta say, happy FTM week.
Definitely happy FTM week to all who observe and all who celebrate as we get ready to have our first series against the Mets of the season. 2 games in New York, 2 games at the bank, and just really one of the greatest traditions in sports. Just, getting to watch the Mets stumble over themselves 20 times a year.
Yeah, every chance that we have to roll over the Mets, it is a great day in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see the series sweep.
Yep. And they're just riding high a little bit right now. I can't wait to knock them down from that high horse because they beat them. They're gonna beat themselves. Is the point I'm trying to make here.
They beat the struggling Braves, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into it. Cody Clemens, quite the player showing up. I mean, he doesn't even have a starting spot. He's just been showing up to fill in some roles. And he's been doing quite the job as he's had his best batting average in all of his career in the MLB. He's batting .308 currently and has only played He's only played 6 games, had 13 at-bats, and has recorded 4 hits, 3 runs.
2 home runs, if I'm correct, as well.
Yep, you are correct.
Cody Clemens, the last few days as well, not only just talking about Trey Turner, but the last few days we've had issues with Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto. He's one of those guys on the bench where every good team needs to be deep, and he's been one of those guys that's been called upon, and he has just really jumped on this opportunity as one of those bench bats.
He's been showing up anytime he needs to come in. He's been playing the way he needs to play and just filling in that role of the guy who steps up in a substitution spot and slugging it.
Definitely. If he can, obviously, he's not going to stay at this level batting .308, but if he can just be one of those like Whit Merrifield has been, like Edmundo Sosa has been, and like hopefully he'll continue to be just one of those solid bench bats across the rest of the season. I saw you shaking your head a little bit there when I think I said Whit Merrifield. So
yeah, I wouldn't want him to stay like Whit Merrifield. Merrifield has been a little bit.
He's been shaky.
He's been a little bit shaky. I'd like to see him as an Edmundo Sosa level guy.
Yeah.
Garrett Stubbs level guy. Come in and do his job when he needs to. And he has the ability to become a starter one day. He just has to stay strong.
You talking about Whit Merrifield?
No, not Whit Merrifield. I'm talking about Cody Clemens.
Cody Clemens. Yeah, I guess he's definitely one of those guys who he hasn't had that many opportunities at the major league level yet. And you know that there's something there in it because every time he's had an opportunity at the major league level, he has surprised somebody, I feel like, especially this time around. That's easy to say now that he's on this hot streak, but I feel like that's just how I felt about him as we've gotten to see him in just these 13 at-bats. He's already like with comparable stats to, I know we posted on the TikTok as a bit of a joke, but to Ronald Acuna with the 2 home runs.
Yeah, he's been a lovable guy just to watch. Like his career is really setting shape and it's going in such a good way that one thing I want to throw out there, it might seem a little testy to people, but like he's adding a lot of trade value. Is something I like to put out there. He's a guy that we could add a lot to a bundle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a guy that to go a little bit off schedule a little bit here. I think a guy that a lot of Phillies fans have been looking at and be like, all right, we want that guy, Mason Miller over in Oakland. He has just been lights out, and as he said himself, he's worried that the lights will go out forever if he has a special entrance for his closer, which is a whole nother story. But I think he's been one of those guys that Phillies fans have been like, he's going to be a hot commodity on the trade deadline, Mason Miller. We want to be a team competing for his services.
Oh, yeah. Mason Miller's been crushing it. He's had 8 saves. He's tied for 9th in the league with saves. He has a 1.10 ERA, 33 strikeouts, and walk/hits per innings pitch is 0.67. So, I mean, for a team like the A's, just to rally that behind with a defense like theirs, it is truly remarkable what he's been doing in this league so far. And I said this a few weeks ago. I don't think I said it on the podcast, but I remember talking to someone about it. That he is definitely the one guy I feel like I mean, his team is already pretty complete, but would complete this team.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you could have pretty much Mason Miller as your bona fide closer, and then you could have, Jeff Hoffman and Jose Alvarado, excuse me, as your setup guys for righties and for lefties, and then you just have Orion Kirkering, you have Spencer Turnbull, or whoever would be in that other spot, Seranthony Dominguez if he's still there. It's but if you could have him be at the top of that rotation and bump two very elite guys in Jeff Hoffman and in Jose Alvarado as like you bump them down, it just makes that bullpen that much deeper.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the one thing you're kind of missing when I hear you talk about this is a lights out closer and someone who can just
Yep.
come in and shut things down if things get too out of hand. And I feel like Mason Miller could be that guy for the Philadelphia Phillies, and that's why I think he's just one of the players to target. And like, don't get me wrong, I mean, I love Cody Clemens, but that's a guy they would jump at for.
Yep.
And I feel like one of the things they'd want is a pitching prospect. There's been rumors, I think it was Tom Rosenthal that reported on it, that the Phillies were targeting a trade towards Mason Miller, but the issue is the A's were showing that they were going to be very pricey with him.
Yeah. I think the two guys that they might have been thinking about was Andrew Painter, who I don't think is even pitching this year. I think he's coming off of an injury, and Mick Abel. I don't think they're going to be very lenient to give up either of those guys, which I think is the right choice to make because the Phillies are proof that if you have a young core and you just wait on it and develop it right, that you will end up seeing the fruits of your labor if you draft right, if you develop right. So I think they're smart with not just selling the farm entirely. And obviously, giving up one of those two guys isn't selling the farm entirely, but you should be protective of your prospects.
Yeah, well, here's where I stand on it. I mean, I like Andrew Painter, but I feel like he may be too injury prone.
That's definitely true. He's
So
yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to trading Andrew Painter for a guy like Mason Miller because I mean, years and years of Phillies baseball, it's always proven that the bullpen has been our Achilles heel, and I think it's just that would be one of the most perfect places to get a young prospect who we know is going to be really good. He's already proving it, and to have one of those electric entrances in Philadelphia, oh my goodness, that would be crazy.
Yeah,
I've always
because
wanted, like, why can't we have that? Like, come on, why can't we do a cool entrance for Jose Alvarado or something?
yeah. Well, the lights will not go out for Mason Miller. I assure you that. But I think one of the problems with Painter, like you said, he's very injury prone. And we just talked about this just last week, or was it the episode before? We just talked about this very recently. If you're getting, excuse me, if you're getting injured that much as a minor league prospect, it's probably only going to get worse as you hit the majors because as you hit the majors, more velocity is demanded of you, or you're just going to get shelled by power hitters like Otani. Like you're going to have to face Otani if you want to pitch in the National League or really the MLB. You're going to have to face guys like Jorge Soler, who's a power hitter. You're going to have to face guys like Mookie Betts. Like you're just going to get shelled if you don't have maybe the velocity. And there's guys who have control, obviously. Andrew Painter is going to obviously have to develop both of those as he develops through the minor leagues, but that's just obviously a huge concern. And like you said, it's just something to watch out for. Is what I'm trying to say for Dave Dombrowski.
And I kind of want to build off what I just said. How come the MLB hasn't like just mandated that pitchers have cool entrances? If you want to make this sport more entertaining, that's how you do it. Make it a spectacle.
Definitely, it's amazing. Like, who was the? I'm gonna sound like such an idiot for not knowing the name.
Edwin Diaz.
The Edwin Diaz. Thank you. On the Orioles last year, that is some of the coolest things. You're like,
No, hold on. Edwin Diaz is a Met.
he is a Met.
Are you talking about the trumpets?
The Trumpets.
Because
I
I
thought we were
know
talking about the
the
guy on
or
the Orioles.
the guy on yeah
I'm
well
looking this
Edwin
up right
Diaz has
now.
a cool entrance. He does the trumpets, even though he's kind of a bum. But the Orioles have an entrance where they do the whistle from the wire, the Farmer of the
Yeah,
Deli one, and they shut out. It's really cool. They shut out the lights in it. Is that the
I'm
one you're
looking this
referring
up.
to?
Yeah, it's not Craig Kimbrell.
It's definitely not Craig Kimbrell. That
It
man
keeps
is
it keeps
far from
giving me Craig
electric.
Kimbrell.
That man is far from electric. You could probably
Yeah,
just search a Orioles closer entrance, and it'll
I,
probably come up. to be
Yeah, I looked
honest.
up Orioles closer, and it just keeps giving me Orioles closer. Felix Bautista. That's the name I was looking
Yes,
for.
Felix Bautista, yeah. He's
I
got a really
mean,
cool entrance. They shut out all the lights and they
yep.
flicker, and then they do the farmer and the deli whistle from The Wire, which I want to say is based in Baltimore. It's definitely based in Baltimore.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
I think it's based in Baltimore. Yeah, his entrance is really cool. I mean, if you want to make the sport a spectacle, that's how you do it. Like it's get
That's what fans show up for.
get the fans engaged. That's how it's all. That's how you pull fans into a ballpark. But yeah. Since we were on the topic of Mason Miller, Oakland Athletic, thought I might bring up a little fun little statistic here.
Yeah, we were
If
talking
you
about
if you can
this.
call it for a statistic. So we all know the movie Major League. Great movie. Follows the Cleveland Indians in a fictitious season. And in the movie Major League, they had a corrupt owner who was trying to move them to a different city, right? And with the Oakland Athletics, you got that right there. They're trying to get out of town.
That's
Corrupt
one.
owner and everything. Now, in the movie, they assembled one of the most horrific teams to make sure they earned no money, no wins, and got their relocation approved. Another check mark that is exactly the same for the Athletics. They have been trading away their great prospects for years. Anyone
Brutal.
that's good who comes from Oakland, they're leaving. But the team in the movie wasn't expected to do anything, just like the Athletics. In the movie, the team was led by a electric, lights out closer. Wild thing. That was their star player, Mason Miller. And on the last day of the year, the team won the division. Now, I can only think that the A's are going to at least make a playoff spot. Now that it's all lining up, it is uncanny. The A's are going to the playoffs, and I am betting on that.
They're gonna beat out the Rangers. They're gonna beat out the Mariners.
Yeah.
Win the AL West.
Well, hold on. I don't think they're gonna win the AL West. I said they're gonna make a playoff spot, which means
No, you heard
wild
it here
card.
first.
I think they're gonna make the wild card. I mean, that's where I stand on it. You, you,
What are
you
they right
can't
now?
beat logic, and it's already been proven. Have you watched Major League? Exactly, exactly,
Scriptwriters got to get more original with this one.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. The MLB scriptwriters, it's on them. Honestly,
Slacking.
it's just too predictable anymore.
Alright, listen, if we'll write the script, we'll write the A's World
Oh,
Championship
I'd write
script.
I'd write it. I'd write a great script. You know what my script would begin with?
What would it
More
begin with?
electric closer entrances. That's what it would start with.
Rob Manfred, instead of fixing the pitch clock, or instead of fixing, oh, he did fix the uniforms. He'll fix
In
closer
in my script,
entrances.
the Mets would fold
they'd,
as a team.
they'd move to Oakland and become the Oakland Mets or something like that.
Oakland Mets. I rock with it. But yeah, let's get back on track
They would
here.
subsidize as a
Ranger
team.
Suarez, another figure from the Phillies rotation, who is officially a Cy Young candidate, and it has been a
Definitely.
long time coming. I mean, this dude is tearing up the league right now. He is first in wins and losses with 7 wins, 0 losses. Every game that he's pitched has been a win for the Phillies. He has an ERA of 1.50. That is the second best in the MLB right now. 55
That is
strikeouts. He is
insane.
tied at 11th for strikeouts. Walk/hits per inning pitch. He is at 0.72. That is the best in the MLB. This dude is amazing. An anomaly
Unbelievable.
right now.
He's an alien. I mean, him and Zach Wheeler, as of the recording of last week's episode, were the only pitchers without a bad outing for this team. Then Zach Wheeler kind of struggled against the Marlins the other day. Ranger Suarez is the only pitcher on one of the best rotations in baseball who has yet to blink on the mound.
Ranger Suarez is the ace of the Phillies right now. There's
He is.
in the beginning it was debated. Yeah, I could say like maybe Ranger Suarez the ace. Like
Yep.
I was a big guy. I was a big Ranger Suarez guy. I said earlier in the season, I said he's our ace on this team. Like he is just so calm, cool, and collected. But right now there is no debate. Ranger Suarez is the ace on his team. It goes Ranger Suarez, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, and then I can say the last three is up for debate.
Yeah, I think it can really go either way. And I think one of the reasons, a lot can happen early in the season, and it still is very early in the season. But right now, the Phillies, they're 28, they're 28-13. We're 41 games into the season. That's far enough where you can say that Ranger Suarez should be a Cy Young candidate. And obviously, a lot can happen between now and between September and October. But we're 41 games into the season. These are real stats now.
Yeah, I know. I mean, this is we like you said, we're into the season at this point, and it's proven. He is a good pitcher, and there's no debating it. I mean, he is a Cy Young candidate, and that's going to continue to be the way it shows if he stays healthy, keeps his stats up, and I have no doubt that he's going to keep his stats up. The injuries always you got to be careful. Not going to jinx anything. Hopefully, he doesn't get injured. But yeah. So another two figures I want to talk about with the Phillies bullpen is Spencer Turnbull and Taiwan Walker. They've been flirting with a six-man rotation, which I don't like. I'm
No.
not a fan. No, I'm traditional 5-man rotation until you get to playoffs, and it's always a 3-man rotation. But
Yep.
Turnbull and Walker, I have an idea for what they should be doing. They should be giving the bullpen a break, and it should just be Spencer Turnbull or Taiwan Walker. You can switch it any way you want. Who's going to start the game, but they should split their starts. One guy does 5 innings, the other does
Ooh,
4 innings. It should just be a system of just doing the entire game themselves. If you have to throw in a closer or a reliever here and there, that happens. But it should just be an off day for the bullpen. Let them get some rest and just allow Spencer Turnbull and Taiwan Walker to pitch the full game.
I love that. I love that idea. Just especially with the baseball season over time becomes a war of attrition. And if you can have, because right now on the roster, the Phillies have 6, maybe 7 reliable stars. I mean, you have Wheeler, you have Nola, you have Ranger, you have Turnbull is 4, Taiwan, and Chris. You have 6 reliable starters on your roster. So when you have a war of attrition that is a 162 MLB game season, why not have a day every 5 games or so that your bullpen can just rest, and maybe you have 2 relief pitchers in at most. You have your closer and maybe a lefty or righty reliever.
Yeah, it's like, of course you're gonna have break every like 10 games. You'll have a off day, but like this it's such a great opportunity for the bullpen to get rest. And like I said, there's gonna be some times where you have to throw in a reliever or closer to finish things up. But like Spencer and Taiwan should be able to hold the fort, especially if you schedule them right and just know who's
Yep.
better in the starting and who's better in the relieving. I think Turnbull or Walker, they've both had their time as a relief pitcher, so I feel like either of them could come in a big situation, and if they're having a good game, they could go farther into the inning to allow the other one to have some rest on the arm. But I feel like it's just a win-win in this scenario either way. If
Yeah.
you're gonna have two good pitchers who get their time on the mound as basically a starter.
Absolutely. And the last thing I really want to say on this is when you're in the National League, which is has no shortage of superstar team. I mean, you have the Dodgers who might have over one off season built one of the greatest teams in baseball history. How many teams in not just the National League, but in all of baseball can say that they have a system where they can just give their entire bullpen an off day? Like that's a one up you have over 29 other teams in baseball.
Yeah, and then you also have the ability for when playoffs come around, you can now send Turnbull and Walker in as what's the word for it?
Long relievers?
Long relievers. I feel like there's another word for it, but yeah, long relievers works.
Maybe.
Yeah, you can use them as long relievers and just go deep into a game as a reliever and give your bullpen again a break. I mean, these are two guys who are just going to be literally not relief for the starting pitchers, but relief for the bullpen, basically.
Yeah. And this is really like we talked about last week how much trust Rob Thompson has in his players and how that can sometimes come back to bite him. This is where it helps him like immensely. Like trust Turnbull, trust Walker, and then make it easier for you to trust Jeff Hoffman, to trust Sir Anthony Dominguez, to trust Orion Kirkring because they'll have that extra rest. So by trusting those two to take over a game, it makes it that much easier to trust all the other guys who might be more shaky if they had to throw an inning the day before or the other day, you know?
Yeah, so um how about we move into the NL? I mean, the Phillies
Yeah.
leading the NL right now. That is just honestly crazy for
Shocking.
what we were expecting for the Phillies. We were expecting to be in a race of Atlanta the whole way through, but we're kind of leading the way with the NL East currently.
Definitely.
A few teams who not expected to be as high as they were, as high as they are, is Milwaukee, and I'd say the Cubs could make an argument. The Washington Nationals are probably the biggest uh,
They've been, yeah.
wild team to go up in the standings.
I think when you talk about, you mentioned the Cubs, one of the guys I've wanted to mention on this podcast for a while, Shota Imanaga. Like we've been talking about how Ranger Suarez might be an MVP excuse me, a Cy Young candidate. If Shota Imanaga keeps up the way that he has been, Ranger Suarez doesn't stand a chance, and that's not his fault. Like he's just been, the Japanese players, like a lot of the questions they get is that like there's questions around how that talent will translate to the MLB, and I think over the past 5 to 10 years, that question has just been shattered, and it's been the Cubs. They are, I think there's maybe four major pennant contenders in the NL right now. It'll be the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Braves, and arguably the Cubs. I think those are arguably the four best teams in the National League. And obviously there are teams you could argue about, but I think those are the top four that come to your mind.
Yeah, and I want to bring up a fact about the Los Angeles Dodgers and just how wild it is that a team like the Phillies are ahead of them in the standings. Because when you look at the Dodgers, this team has a payroll of $320.9 million, and
Jesus.
the Phillies have a payroll of $254 million. So
Both a lot.
yeah, both a lot, but I mean, it's definitely crazy that what is it? Yeah,
$70?
$70 million less the team is spending, and they're still doing better than the other team. Do the I believe they do, but do the Phillies play the Dodgers anytime during the regular season this year?
I think I looked into it just a while ago. I think they play them just before the All-Star break because I know they get the Cubs, I think the Dodgers, and then I
Yes.
think the Braves in that
Yes,
order.
I just confirmed it. Yeah. So Thursday, July 9th, the Phillies will be playing against the Dodgers until Thursday the 11th in a 3-game series on the West Coast, and they
Okay.
go to play Oakland before the All-Star break. That's just I don't know, man. It's kind of wild.
That I mean, the Dodgers, I think the problem that they're facing early in the season is that their lineup it's very top heavy right now because you got a lot of guys towards the bottom of the lineup that you know are better than what they're doing right now, but they're just struggling right now. So that's going to be a problem for them. But once all the guys in that lineup, excuse me, start clicking, it's going to be obviously it's going to be dangerous. And they've been hyped up all the off season, and I'm praying on their downfall, but it's not that easy to do when you have Otani, when you have just all those players. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember reading not reading, seeing a video on TikTok if way back when the Dodgers were going for the media about how much money they're spending back in like December, and it was saying like the Dodgers can spend all this money they want, but the Phillies are still gonna win on the power of friendship. And like it's just this wild thing, but it's actually like turning to fruition. Like this team has gone off.
Yeah. I think obviously we're only 41 games into the season, which I know I said earlier was like a time where stats come out. But I also said things are going to change throughout the next what is it, 121 games. I'm not a mathematician, but something like that. But when you have the Phillies at this level this early in the season, that's something that we haven't gotten to see over the past decade. So it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how this NL because this is going to be something that, in my opinion, for the NL East, for the NL top seeds, this is going to be something that ends on like the last day of the season. This isn't something we're going to see, be finished early.
Yeah, well, we were speaking about the All-Star game, and this is something I added to the notes. It's just some Philly based, so I mean we can talk about it. We got
Sure.
time, but 2026 All-Star game coming to Philadelphia. It's going to
Ooh,
be a wild time for I think it's like America's birthday, a centennial or something. It's like 275 years. I'm not sure what the specifics of it is. But yeah, we're
something
gonna
like
get the
that.
All-Star game, and at the same time, I think it might be on the same day actually. There's going to be a World Cup game at the link.
That is dangerous. That is some ballsy scheduling by whoever
Yeah,
decided to put
I
those
I
two
I I
together.
I, don't, I think I can. I'm gonna confirm. But
Okay.
why don't you comment on like the the parking that is going to take?
Oh, we might have cars lining up outside, like all down I-95. Like it
We're gonna
is
be
gonna
stopping
be.
on the road.
You might just if you plan on going to either of those games, maybe don't plan on driving back the first day. Maybe like rent a hotel, sleep in your
It's a
car.
perfect
Just
advertisement for public transport.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you right now.
Oh yeah,
What?
my bad. I don't know why I just lagged out, but yeah, I said that is a perfect advertisement for public transport.
What's it called? Hilton is gonna make bank that day for all the hotels. They'll be like, yeah, like I said, though, if you're planning on driving home that day, don't just wait it out. Like, it's gonna be brutal. But a World Cup game in Philly is gonna bring some amazing energy. I cannot wait for that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be amazing. I love the union and like soccer, and
Yep.
just seeing that come to like Philadelphia would be just so awesome to see. But yeah,
Have you confirmed the date? Yeah.
I'm pulling it up right now on StubHub. There's a lot of World Cup games. This is
Oh,
insane.
I know it's
But
like in 3 different countries or something like that.
so the last time the Phillies hosted the All-Star game, it was on July 4th because of it being America's birthday, and that's why they have it there. And there will be a World Cup game at Lincoln Financial Field on July 4th, 2026. This
Jesus.
city is going to be a madhouse. That
The
is going to be.
city's the city that will never sleep. If Jesus, oh my God.
Got to pull a double header.
You might. Watching the World Cup in like school classes is gonna be fun again. But
Oh yeah.
on the
Well,
same
no,
day,
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'll be there. Just kidding. I'll be graduated by then.
yeah, good for you. Well, I'll be watching it in math. But like I said, whoever decided to put those two on the same day, that's some bold scheduling, and I like it. You know, it's gonna be fun for the city of Philadelphia. How it's gonna work, who knows? But it's gonna be interesting.
We're really getting off the topic of baseball, but I just want to
Yep.
bring this up. The the fact that the World Cup Finals is being hosted at MetLife Stadium, where there's been so many ACL and leg injuries, is a crime. This country
That is
should be ashamed of ourselves for letting it happen there. We have SoFi Field, we have AT&T Stadium, we have any other football stadium in the world, and we chose MetLife Stadium.
Oh my God. I don't want to get too off the topic of baseball. Like we do need
Mm.
to try to reel this back in, but I do think they said that they were replacing the fields on that because of the World Cup. We need to stay back on baseball though.
Tiger
Uh
City Connect just got
ooh,
released.
yep.
Welcome to the Motor City.
Smooth.
They got some the patches on the front the script on the front says Motor City. They got some sleeve tape on the sleeves. Um the M1313 patch, known to Detroiters as Woodward Avenue. M1 unites the neighborhoods as the 313 and is a central heartbeat of the city's pride, progress, and potential. There are tire treads on the jersey.
Yep.
There is a vintage tag honoring the Tiger's legacy and tiger eyes that are inside the jersey.
Oh,
First
I
looks at this
think
jersey,
I love them.
they're great. I mean,
I
they're
know.
amazing. My only thing is, speaking of soccer, these look like soccer jerseys.
Really?
Yes.
I know. I really like them.
Everything, like I looked at those jerseys and I thought they were soccer jerseys. Like that is
Really?
exactly what they look like.
I don't know. I really like. I think what I kind of first thought, not like immediately off the top of my head, but like thinking about it, the Mets, they also put like a ton of like pretty cool facts about like the city of New York and all that into their jerseys. But it looked like no one kind of just took a step back and looked at those jerseys and were like, those look awful. the Tigers did the same thing that the Mets did, except they made it look really good.
Yeah, and it's definitely going down as one of my favorites.
Love it.
For some reason I just love the like even with the Detroit Lions, I love that color scheme that Detroit always has with
Yeah.
like the light blue, the dark blue, and then like the gray. It's one of my favorite color schemes in all of sports. Nothing beats any of the Philly color schemes though. But yeah, I a lot of the jerseys that Detroit produces, mostly just a football team, but this one now, I just eat up. Like these are some
Yeah.
great jerseys.
I mean, going off topic a little bit, the Lions had that super cool jersey change just this last offseason. And the only team in Detroit that really doesn't have that similar color scheme are the Red Wings. I think, it'd be
Interesting.
interesting to do just a topic on the City Connect jerseys as a whole, because I've seen a lot of people who just don't like them, who think it should have just been a thing that a couple teams did. Because like a team I'm really concerned for when they do their City Connect jerseys is like the Yankees, because like it's really hard to recreate the Yankees because I feel like no matter
Yeah,
what they do,
they're
people
they're
aren't gonna like
just
it.
so iconic. Like
Yeah,
it's such a like tough situation because like it's such an iconic jersey that like what can you do better about it? But
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like they should put me in charge. I'm pretty good. I feel like I feel like I could have a good vision for it. But I don't know. I mean, some just like because like you got to think about it. Like, are you gonna go something new or are you gonna go just tacky and be like,
Yeah.
here are old jerseys from 1903. Like, let's connect
I
with the
think a
city here.
team I think a team that did nail their jerseys. I don't know if this is a hot take or not, because I think a lot of people don't like these jerseys. I love the Rockies City Connect jerseys. They just kind of went out of the out of the box there, like going for a completely different color scheme than their purple and black. I love it. I don't know if that's just me. I think they look
Yeah,
amazing.
they remind me of Colorado State University with their jerseys a lot.
Yeah, they didn't even think about that.
The Rams, yeah, I think they're the Rams. But
Something like that.
another team that did that was Boston. Boston had some good jerseys. People hated on them a little bit, but I liked
I'm
them.
in between.
Trying to think of like what you could do for a Yankees uniform. Like there were like I mean maybe like the design of Yankee Stadium, like how the top of it has like
Yeah,
that
maybe.
white arches.
That's probably what they'll end up doing, but it's like you can't really differ from the pinstripes, you know what I mean? Because they've been doing that for over 100 years. Like that's the most successful team in baseball's jerseys. Like you can't really. It's hard to do that better, like you said.
Yeah, and I really don't know where you could go. I think that's why they're delaying this so long because even they're like,
Yeah,
man, where do we start? Like, it's one of
and
the
you
most
also got to
historic.
make them look good too. Like you can make a ton of cool things about your stadium, about your history, and have it look terrible.
It could be like something based off of how many World Series they've won because they've won like 26
I
and
think it's 27. Yeah,
27. Yeah, and the Yankees fans love to flaunt it, even though they most of them weren't alive for the majority of them. But
yeah, almost an 09.
yeah, back to the Phillies.
Let's change topic.
8 earned runs against Jose Barrios. Barrios, I'm saying that right?
I think that's how you say it. Yep.
Yep. Who has the MLB's best ERA before. I mean, crazy. We've put up the most runs against him that he's had all season, which is just completely wild. He's been going for at least 6, 5, or maybe 7 innings. 5 was only once, but we
Yeah.
held him to 3.2 innings, and we're able to get 7 hits off of him and 8 runs, 8 of them earned. So just wild. I mean, like the fact that we did that to the man who had the best ERA in the MLB.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons I put this in here is because the media, whether it be football, baseball, hockey, basketball, whatever, they kind of just love to put an asterisk on anything that a Philly sports team does. And, the asterisk for the Phillies so far, 41 games of the season, has been the schedule. Putting 8 earned runs against who was the best pitcher in baseball, that's not the schedule. That is elite offense. That is elite pitching. And we did it. I think we did the same thing 2 days earlier against Logan Webb. I think we put up 6 runs against him in like 4 innings. And he's one of baseball's best pitchers. And I think the point I'm trying to make is that, yes, this Phillies team has been a beneficiary to a relatively easy schedule through the season, but you can't say that they are only good because of that schedule. They're just feasting on teams they should be feasting on. And when they get towards the teams like the end of the All-Star break, and I'm pretty sure just after the All-Star break, they're going to continue to perform at this level because they've shown that they can and will perform against the MLB's best talents.
Yeah, the schedule, like it's a team sport, yeah, of course, but like there's gonna be standout players on either team. Like you're always
Yeah,
gonna have a good pitcher on maybe a bad team who just can't seem to get out of that city. But we put up 8 earned runs against the best pitcher in baseball, and the fact that we're still kind of fighting our way into the top of the power rankings is just wild to me.
it's
Like
absurd.
this is we. There's no doubt about it. We're the best team in baseball right now, but there is not a reporter or media that wants to give the Phillies the recognition they deserve.
And like I don't want to hate on like baseball media, all that. Like that's not what this is, because like there's a lot of great people that like I find extremely
Of
entertaining.
course.
Yeah, it's just that's what the point I'm trying to make is that just put some respect on the name. Don't just say easy schedule and move on and say, oh, the Dodgers are the best team in the NL. Like take a look at who they're facing. Like just give it some time, because it's not like it takes an hour of digging into who the Phillies haven't faced. It takes like 5 minutes to just look at, oh, they faced Jose Barrios. Like
Yeah, you can always make the argument like, yeah, of course we've played some bad teams. Maybe we don't have the best record in baseball, but you could still give credit where credit is due. Like
yeah,
they're putting up runs against good pitchers, and they're bouncing back from games they were down in, and it's just like I feel like it's all that the Phillies should be asking for right now is just a little bit of respect on their name. But hey,
yeah.
I'd rather keep the Phillies as underdogs in the whole realm of the MLB currently. But moving on, Miami series, JT Realmuto and Bryson Stott popping off. Not to mention Nick Castellanos proving that he's aging
Yep.
like wine a little bit. Don't want to jump too far on the bandwagon, but because I'm not too much. I'm still maybe iffy about trading him. You move Bryce back in the right field. Cody Clemens comes to first, but it's just me. But Nick Castellanos did have great games. I think it was 2 home runs that he recorded,
I think so.
and yeah, Bryson Stott, incredible. He had a
Bryson Stott is the new ed generation Chase Utley, except for the Marlins. Like you had that iconic home run with AOK playing in the background of the wild card game, which with hindsight
they fear
broke
him,
the Mets. It's incredible. I mean, just what he's been able to do, becoming a
broke the
fan
Marlins.
favorite. Love it. It's just fantastic to watch every day and what he does.
Yeah, just he's just great to watch. He had the triple that cleaned up the bases, scored 3 runs that put them ahead, and was the eventual winning runs that took us into that game. And it's just I'm loving to see Bryson Stott out there. Another player I want to mention is Mundo Souza. He's coming in Trey Turner's footsteps. Big shoes to fill, and he's been
Yep.
doing just that. He's been playing great, having some good knocks, and just ultimately being a great player to step up in what is a tough role.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest differences is between like the first 40 games this season for the Phillies and let's just say the first 40 games last season is that we've had a star player deal with injury in both of those games. This year it's Trey Turner. Last year it was Bryce Harper. The difference is last year Bryce Harper was replaced by pretty much Jake Cave. This year it's been like the combination of Whit Merrifield, Edmundo Sosa, Cody Clemens, and we're just getting 2-3 times the production we're getting off the bench early in this season than we were last season. It's just this team is so much deeper than I think even like the most diehard Philly fans thought they would be.
And I think that's gonna be the last statement that we have. We're running
All
out of
right.
time here, but
Went on a
just
little long.
yeah, it went on a little long. Fun, always fun
Some fun
talking with
conversations.
you, Ethan. But
Yeah.
we're gonna go watch the Mets series, watch the Phillies crush
Yep.
the Mets,
Starts in
and
like what, 30 minutes?
I think it's started already.
I think it's 5 minutes, ESPN says. Yeah,
Yeah,
it says
five
it's at the
minutes. So we're gonna go watch that. I still have to edit this podcast, but yeah. For all those who celebrate it, happy FTM week. I'm Daniel McDevitt,
FTM.
and this has been my co-host.
See, the money you can find both of us at our social medias here, I think.
Yep, you got
And
it.
you can also check us out on TikTok and on Twitter, both at Philly Fans Podcast or Philly Fans Pod on Twitter. It has been great chopping it up with you, Dan. And like you said, you're going to go watch Christopher Sanchez versus Sean Manaea.
All right, you guys better go follow our social medias. For one final time, see ya.